Jessica, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited to sit down with you today, Jess. I mean, 15 years ago, you were such a great role model for so many women in the industry, including myself. And here we are 15 years later, and you are still that and so much more. So I want to thank you for everything that you've done for our industry and how you've continued to lead for so many years. And yeah, I'm really happy to have had somebody like you to look up to all these years.
Well, that's so nice. Thank you.
You are welcome. So I kind of just want to dive right in. I'd love our viewers to really hear about where it all started.
Yeah.
So let's take us back to 22-year-old Jessica Lopez at the time, where you answered an ad for a door-to-door sales job. How did all this get started?
So, 22-year-old Jessica was definitely not who I am now, that's for sure. I was, young and I wanted the world, but I didn't want to do enough to get the world, yes. Right? I went to school for accounting, right? I knew I was good at math, that was one thing. So I wanted to be a CPA, was my original goal, to retire my mom. Like that's ultimately the passion I always had, regardless of what route took me there. And then I realized in college that accounting was so boring and it was not something I can do. So I finished, got my bachelor's, and then I was looking for a job in finance, but in a marketing firm. So I always wanted to be in marketing because it's young and fun and always adapting, but I wanted to do finance and marketing. And I went on some interviews, didn't get the jobs I wanted, and they told me you need to get experience. So I actually started in this for my resume. That was the goal. Yeah. 6 months. My leader told me I'd get to assistant management in 6 months. So I'm like, oh, that'll look good. And then I'll go on my merry way and be a financial analyst and then senior. And I knew the whole route to becoming like a CFO of a company. Yeah. And that's what I thought at 30, I could retire my mom being a CFO of a company. So that was my plan. And this was just like a pit stop on the way there.
Yeah. And so when you answered the ad, I mean, was it something that you were like, oh, I can do this? Or what was your first initial thought?
I think I blacked out in the interview. I was so nervous because of my interviews prior, and not getting the positions and you get so nervous. And what was my initial thought was, I don't want to do this. Yes. I actually cried in the field. Yeah, no, I cried in the field on the interview. Yeah. And then also on my first day.
And why did you cry? It was uncomfortable for you?
Uncomfortable. Yeah. I didn't like the rejection. I was bartending prior. That was my only real job, I guess you can say. Yeah. And you don't get told no 500 times as a bartender. So it was quite the culture shock.
I'd say
for
so.
Me. Yeah.
So, I mean, that interview to you in your mind, that it's not going good. You don't want to do this. So, I mean, why'd you come back?
My leader, he was good. Yeah. He was sharp and he knew that, I wanted to do finance. So he explained it and how that would look better on my resume than just a marketing rep somewhere. So I was like, well, that makes sense, can I do this? And, he made it make sense. He was sharp. He fear of lost me. And I said, hey, Bobby, I don't think this is for me. I'm sorry, you're cool, but it's not for me. And he looked at me and he's like, hey, Jess, you don't even have the job yet. He's like, why don't you get the job and then decide if it's for you? Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then I wanted the job so bad. Yeah. And then I got the job and I was like, I don't even know how to explain what I'm doing to people and why I'm leaving the bar. Everyone's like, oh, I heard you're leaving. What are you going to do? And I'm like, sales,
face-to-face sales. Yeah. And I think it's funny because I mean it's such a powerful industry. It's been around for so many years, but for some reason people feel like if you have to do face-to-face sales, it's weird. It's uncomfortable, but it's it's just talking to people. Yeah. Right? Yeah.
No, now, I mean, I own it. People ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, those guys that go, knock on your door for Verizon. I'm like, that's me. And that's it. I own it all day. But as a 22-year-old girl, right? I told my manager if he sent me to my town, I would quit, right? Because you just care so much what people think.
Of course.
And that's the, immaturity, insecurity, whatever it is. So growing up changed all of that.
And I mean, this was 17 years ago. So the clients that we had back then were not Fortune 50 clients. So that credibility was not there. So it was really just you and whatever it was that you were selling at the time, right?
Which is why I'm like, I don't even know how to explain it. I can't even throw something out. We were selling like T-shirts and princess puzzle books. It was kind of crazy.
The princess puzzle books. I always heard about the princess
charities. So that was a really nice part.
There you go. You know, giving back to the community.
So we were, you know, like the Girl Scouts sell things outside of the table. So literally that's what we were doing at like a Walmart on this first day. And we were at one side of the Walmart. And I remember I was in the bathroom with the other new girl. And I said to her, I'm like, can you believe we're doing this? What are we doing? Yeah. And she quit that day. Yeah. And I'm an NC now. Yes. So like that just shows you who I was at 22. I was like the negative Nancy. Yes. So I was like the person you don't want to put all your guys around.
Yeah, totally.
And that was me. And then he made me pitch someone, and I was so uncomfortable. And thank God the person didn't end up speaking English. So he didn't even know what I said. But after that, I literally went to my car and I cried. Yeah. And I called my at the time boyfriend. And I was like, I can't do this. And he did sales. And he's like, Jess, like, suck it up. Like, you're fine. Don't worry. You know, a no's a no. And so that was good. The support there. So I got back out of the car and I told Bobby at the end of the day that I quit. Yeah. Regardless of, you know, all that combo. I told him it's just not for me. Yep. And he looked at me and he's like, give it a real shot. Yeah. And if you still don't like it, then we'll talk about it. So I was like, all right, fine. So he was good. Good leader.
Yeah, I was about to say, I wonder what Bobby's up to now.
I wish I could find him. I've actually paid reps to try and find him for me.
Oh, that's incredible.
Because I don't know his name. Yeah. His real name was like a Greek long name. They just called him Bobby. Wow. So I got nothing.
Bobby, if you're watching this.
I know.
Jess is trying to find you.
He was an excellent leader.
That's incredible. Yeah. I love what you said because I think it's so important to like when you read negative reviews online, right? You see a lot of people sharing that same experience. Like, can you believe it? We're out there, we're going face to face, like we're selling to people, or out on the streets if it's a door-to-door job. And I think it's important to validate, like, yes, that is happening and you are face to face, but there's kind of two ways to look at that, right? Like you can look at it and say, well, this is weird, this isn't right. But other people can look at it and say, well, I mean, look at Jessica Irish, who felt that same exact way. And because she was able to open her mind and see it in a different perspective, I mean, your life has completely and drastically changed from this experience. So what do you say to people that maybe have those same fears and those same concerns?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it depends on like which side of the world you're going to, right? So people that look down on sales, I mean, I think that's just, I didn't look down on sales. Yeah. I felt uncomfortable doing sales, right? My perception was very different than the reality, right? I thought you just like run around town and knock on doors, right? And so I didn't realize the strategy, the analytics, like Verizon, you know, a team to generate leads and all this stuff. So it's so much more professional and drives revenue. I mean, the business side is just genius, right? And I mean, there's so many famous people, business people that credit, you know, door-to-door sales to everything that, you know, they are, right? 100%. They're just strength, attitude, all of it. Same as me. So the people that downplay sales, I think is just, they were me at 22, ignorant and immature and judgmental, you know, unnecessarily. But the other side of, you know, say the industry of being able to run your own business, those ones I feel a certain way about because I'm like, do they ever want to talk to me or, you know, people who have been successful? Like, why do they only talk to the people who've not been successful? 100%. Who point fingers? So, you know, but they also have had their own experiences. I didn't love my owner, I'm not gonna lie, at all. So I understand why people said negative things about him. And my goal was just to never run an office like him. So I wasn't one of those owners that people said bad things about. So I get it, but just the broad generalization bothers me more than anything.
Totally, I get that, especially because it's the industry's given back to you in such a tremendous way and to so many people. Let's talk about when you first opened up your company. So how long from when you started in the field as a sales rep to when you decided, okay, now I'm going to start my own company and I'm going to have my own employees and I'm now going to run my own business?
Yeah. So even though I wanted to quit day 1, 2, and 3, by day 4, I was like, all right, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it at like 100%. And the one thing that I can say, even though I was immature and all that, my competitiveness and work ethic were like top notch. I couldn't leave at 3 months because I'm like, well, that doesn't look good on a resume.
Yeah.
Like I have to say 6 months. I hit the 6-point mark and I was gonna go.
Yeah.
And from John, my mentor, he was like, you'll be so good at this.
Yeah.
You know, what's the worst that could happen? You know, why don't you just try it? So I was like, all right. Well, at that point, I just turned 23.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, if I give it a shot, really, what is the worst that could happen? I have owner of a marketing firm on my resume.
Yeah.
And then I start maybe as like a staff analyst instead of an entry-level analyst somewhere at 24. So I said, I'll just give it a shot. And 1 year, you know, it was hard, it was fun, but I made money. There's times I wanted to quit, there's times I loved it.
Yeah.
But I looked at the year, at the end of the year, at the end of the commitment, and I analyzed the pros and cons again, and I realized that, you know, that year I made 130 grand, and this is, again, a lot of years ago. So that was a lot of
And
money.
was this like after expenses?
Yeah,
or
saved, like saved 130
after expenses, paying your employees, paying
Profit.
yourself,
Yeah.
you profited $130,000 as a 23-year-old
23,
kid
yes.
doing door-to-door sales.
Yeah. And that was not the reason why I decided to do it. I realized, like, my only negative was that I was tired. I worked a lot, right? The positives were the people, like the environment.
Yeah.
I'm like, where else can you play musical chairs when you go to work? It's like my favorite morning meeting game. And the money, but more importantly, that I can see this as the path to retire my mom way faster than 30 years old, right? Being that I was 23 at the moment. So that's what made me commit.
I think it's so cool that like 6 months into it, 7 months into it, 8 months into it, like you're still like, this is a resume builder. Like you didn't really foresee how long-term this was actually going to be for you. Do you remember the moment where you were like, I think this is gonna be like a long-term career for me? Yeah.
Maybe I have like a problem with long-term commitment because, you know, looking back, I'm like, well, I don't think I ever said like, this is it forever, you know? It was always like, let's get to here and then we'll talk about it again, you know? And like just pit stops along the way. So I think, you know, after regional, I literally just ended up like landing on national consultant because by default, when you know, you're performing well for the client and helping them expand into other markets by helping put people into business, things just start duplicating. So 2 years after becoming a regional consultant, I landed on becoming a national consultant. Wow. My thought process was always, if I help enough people hit their goals, I'll hit mine by default, right? And so that was like my only focus. It wasn't a timeline, it wasn't it was just do that and like good things will come back to me, you know, is kind of how I
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And so you're no stranger to struggles and challenges along the way. You recently recorded a Smart Talk with us, and you shared how at the age of 25, this was like 3 years after you answered that ad, you were diagnosed with lupus. And you shared how you didn't let that sort of uncontrollable situation really dictate your attitude and your outcome. And I think that's such a powerful statement because I think so often for so many of us, including myself, it's really easy to play like victim of your circumstance. And, you know, for someone to, you know, start their own business, it's really hard. To run your own business, it's really hard. And here you are in a really hard industry and you get diagnosed with lupus. Tell me a little bit about what that felt like in terms of like that extra added challenge and obstacle, and how did you really navigate that to here we are now 17 years later? It did not derail you. If anything, it probably lit a fire under you.
So I was 25, you know, and I had gotten sick. I hired this girl named Jackie, and she was a personal trainer, super sharp. And she was worried about like the field money, like it wasn't enough. So I was like, oh, I'll also hire you to train me, right? And so literally her first week, she trained me like in our training room, physical trained me, right? We worked out. And we worked out like so hard. I was like, I like wanted to throw up, but I didn't get there. The next day, I was so sick. Like I couldn't feel my body. I was like, I just overdid it. And I got sick, and then it like turned into like, I got like bronchitis and then strep throat and then pneumonia. And like every time I would go on medicine, I was just getting something else. For like a month, I was out. Literally, like her first month, I wasn't even there after I like promised her the world. So, you know, the doctors tried to figure it out. Eventually, they, you know, found out I had lupus. And I didn't think I could do this business. I'm like, there's no way, right? I'm like, it requires like so much of you, hours, time, energy, and like, and from doing all the research, it's just like your new energy level is at a different, like my 100% was like 50% of what it used to be. You know what I mean? So it's just your new max. And I'm like, it's impossible. Like, how can I help these guys? And I was like, okay, but I have to help Jackie first. I'm like, because I promised her that. And I'm like, I can't go back on my word. And in the interim of, you know, fulfilling my commitment to her, I learned how to manage my body and myself. I learned how to properly delegate, which is not something I did well before. I would do it all myself. Learning how to properly delegate made me so much better at this industry, right? Learn like what I can and can't do. But the delegation part was the game changer. You know, I started just trusting more people to help me. And by default, they learned how to run a business. It was person by person that I was staying for. And I learned how to manage me while helping them.
Yeah, that's incredible, Jess.
Yeah.
How has that personal experience really deepened your understanding of resilience and being resilient in the face of adversity?
It just taught me that, like, if you can't control it, don't let it control you, right? And that's something, there's very few things you really can't control. But sickness, you know, and you know, life and death, you know, it's like something you can't. And I didn't want to be like a statistic, right? So like people with lupus, a large majority, you know, it's like chronic pain, so they become, you know, like depressed, right? And so, because they're sad, they can't do things. So I'm like, oh God, I don't want that to happen to me. So I just, again, like day by day, you know, just knowing your limits and knowing how to manage yourself and what you can handle, what you can't. So yeah, I was like, well, what's the worst that can happen? You know, I'm in bed for a day again, you know? So I'm like, let me just push and see how far I can go. And it was a lot further than I thought. You know, and here I still am.
And here you are. I think your story is so cool because it seems like from like day one, there's always been these sort of like forks in a road that you get to where you're like, I kind of want to go off and quit and maybe do something easier or relieve the pressure, or I can keep pushing through. And I feel like so often, I mean, I know myself, I mean, you're 17 years in this, like even the people that are, you know, have the most success in our industry, I mean, you wanted to quit so many times. And it's really just like, I guess, having the right mentors in place and really sort of developing that mindset to keep going with whatever situation you have going on. So how do you like coach your team when people come to you and, you know, maybe are at that same fork in the road?
Yeah, I try and, you know, do for people what John did for me, and my leader, but, you know, which is like not let them quit on themselves. So if I see potential in them, you know, I just tell them, like, you know, like, but if I think you can do this, I'm not going to let you quit on yourself. Like, because when people quit anything, really what they're quitting is on themselves, right? And they're quitting on the commitment they made. And that's the one thing that kept, like, me following through. My emotion said, I want to quit. My words said, I want to quit. But my mind was, you made a commitment, you got to follow it through and like get to this fork in the road, right? And then you decide. So that's what ultimately made me not quit every time was like, just follow through on what you said before you were emotional. And that's how I try to coach people. Making a decision when things go wrong, when you're emotional, is probably the worst thing anybody could do for their career or personal life or relationship. So I try to wait till my state of emotion has passed, and I try to coach people the same way.
Incredible. How has the nature of the challenges changed for you over the span of 17 years?
They're not bigger or smaller. I could just handle more. So I'm just so much more, I'm not emotionally affected by challenges anymore. You know, my son, he's 9. One of his teachers taught him big deal or little deal, right? When something like, you know, bad happened. And I literally said this to him yesterday. He was like sad, saying something. I'm like, hey, Brody, big deal or little deal? And that's how I think about things now too, like the same way, right? And I'm like, I get upset and I'm like, is that a big deal or a little deal? Like, how should I really react right now? And I just choose to have like the right people in my life now. You know, challenges, I mean, they're in everyday life. They're everywhere. It's just how you handle them.
I love that. All right, Jess. Well, life has changed for you. So the last thing I really want to talk about is what you've done with your career and your finances and with all the success that you've attained over the last 17 years.
Well, I became a mom, so that's on the time side. I just consult now full time versus running one sales office. So you get a lot of time back from that, you know, and it made all the 14-hour days, 15-hour days, 7 days a week worth it. I promise you that. Doing that when I didn't have kids and, you know, family, 100 times over. I would do it again because now I could pick up my son from school and, you know, I work my schedule and my life together, right? Like I've intertwined them at the point. So time, commodity-wise, is wonderful on that side. And then money-wise, I've, you know, invested. You know, I always wanted to be a smart business person. You've seen celebrities and, you know, people make millions of dollars and then you see like bankrupt and I'm like, oh God, like, you know, so going backwards is my like fear of loss. Like I am motivated by not going backwards. That scares me. So I just always want to be smart with my money and invest wisely. So I've purchased a lot of real estate and I opened up, I saw like a need once I had my son in the market for like children's entertainment play centers. And my cousin was a teacher and the other one is like my mom role model. And they always wanted to do something different. So we came up with the idea to open up like a children's play center where we live. So we did that. So they run it. I put them into business. I financed
what's it called?
The whole thing.
Shameless plug.
Planet Play.
Planet Play.
Yeah, in Belmore.
In Belmore.
Long Island.
Okay, Long Island.
So we opened that and they run that location. We're opening a second now.
Oh, congrats.
Yeah, so
incredible.
Purchased another building. Actually, on Wednesday I closed on a second building.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so we're doing that.
I love it. Cool.
And then just other investments. We invested in a Ralph's Italian Ices, like an ice cream store. My goddaughter, she's 16, she runs that. So putting family members, you know,
smart.
into business, you know, for themselves and, you know, just being smart with the money. Just never want to go backwards.
Yeah, that's amazing. So in your first year as a business owner, you saved $130,000. Now as a national consultant, I mean, what are you making?
You know, I used to say I'll never be a millionaire because I give too much. That's what was my thought process. My mom was a big giver. I, you know, like it's just, if I have it, I'm going to give it to you, right? Like she used to, when I retired her, by the way, which I did by 25, not 30, so did it way faster. She, you know, I'd have her on payroll, but she'd take the checks and she'd literally buy everybody on the street groceries. It's like old Italian ladies. She'd take them grocery shopping and she'd pay for their groceries. So I'm like, okay, that's you know, but I'm like, I would be the same as her. I'm like, there's no way I'll ever be a millionaire. I'm like, I'm good with like a couple $100,000, right? I'll live a good life. And at 28, I think, 29, I made my first million. Yeah, and you know, it's been consistent, you know, ever since, like each year is around, you know, the million mark. So do the math on divided by 12, which is weird. Still weird to say. And I won't let my son see this, by the way, because he asks me like, how much money do you have? I'm like, none.
Don't talk to me about money.
Like, we don't talk about
You're
that.
going to go in the field. We're going to put you in a door-to-door campaign.
Yeah, seriously.
That's really amazing. And I mean, I know you also give back a lot to, you know, not just to your family, but, you know, to charities and things of that nature as well. So
for sure, you know, with Planet Play, just because it's, you know, more of a retail business, people come in all the time. And one of my policies that became ours is that we'll never say no to a charity, donation, anything. So, I mean, never saying no is wild because you couldn't believe the amount of schools and everybody that wants something. But we never say no. We give it to every single one of them. And we do like a special needs night. So like my nephew has autism, so giving back to the autism community. We do that a lot. You know, I've done things for Lupus, right, with my sales offices. We've done like walks and charity events and all that stuff. So
Really
never
incredible.
say no to helping.
You are, again, such a great role model. Still, all these years later, like you really still shine bright for so many people in this industry.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the last question I have for you, for all these 22, 23-year-old young professionals that are entering our industry, looking for that long-term success, what is something, if you had to look back, you wish you would have known to maybe make your experience a little bit more easier?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the advice I would give 22-year-old Jessica is stop caring what people think, right? Because the emotions that I created for myself, like at that point, were just so unnecessary, right? So, and you grow out of it. It's a thing everybody, I'm sure, will grow out of. Hopefully everybody grows out of it. But just not, you know, like not caring what the naysayers say and surrounding yourself with people who believe in you to go in a positive direction. Anybody that says like you can't do that or why are you doing that or looks down on what you're doing and doesn't have a life that's way better than yours shouldn't be giving you that advice, so you shouldn't surround yourself with them, at least when you're not in a secure place yet. Right? So it's like blinders and, you know, just go ahead and I mean, that's the advice. Don't quit is my other advice I give everybody.
Yes, that's honestly, a good one from you.
I'm like, there's nothing special about me. Seriously, I'm not made for sales, but I became great at sales. I was not made for, you know, marketing and management, but I became great at it. And everything I became great at is just because I didn't quit. Like nothing of this extra talent or background or family. No business owners in my family prior, zero. So it was just from not quitting. That's it. So that's what I tell people.
It's great advice. Because you will want to. Just don't.
You want. You know, I stopped wanting to quit when I became a national consultant.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
So only until you became
But I think that's impressive because that's
impressive.
29. I've never wanted to quit since. I'm 39 now. So I mean, 10 years of an industry where you don't want to quit. I think that's pretty.
That's lucky.
That's right.
Lucky. It's very rare.
It is, because who else do you know that? I'm like, this is great. Great run.
Well, I can speak for a lot of people and say we are thankful that you never quit. So thank you for everything that you've done and the legacy that you've built. And here's to many more years of continued success for you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
You're the
Thanks
best,
for
Sandy.
sitting down with me. Thank you. Give me a hug.